when his friend John had plunged him under the cold, clear waters of the River Jordan. How glorious it had felt to be baptized. Jesus remembered seeing the clouds part above his head, as if the gates of heaven had opened to let God speak 9 wonderful words that Jesus would never, ever forget. You are my Son. I am pleased with you. Jesus opened his eyes and smiled. He knew who he was. He was God's own Son, and God was pleased with him. Jesus stayed in the desert for 40 long days and 40 long nights. Nothing to eat, nothing to drink, listening to God, trying to think. Under the blazing hot sun by day and the light of the silver moon by night, Jesus talked to God. What do you want me to do? And whenever he heard a voice that tempted him to think about himself, Jesus closed his eyes and thought about God instead. When the 40 days were over, Jesus knew what God wanted him to do. He stood up, wrapped his cloak around himself, and set out for the synagogue in Nazareth, leaving a trail of footprints behind him in the sand. Prayer. Dear God, during these next 40 days, help us find time to listen to you. Help us to think about what you want us to do. Day 3. Good News. Luke chapter 4, verses 16 through 22. It was so quiet in the synagogue in Nazareth, you could have heard a cricket cough. No one moved, no one spoke. Everyone stood looking at Jesus as he walked to the front, took hold of the scroll, unrolled it slowly, and began to read the ancient words written by the prophet Isaiah many, many years before. God's Spirit is upon me. I've heard God's gentle call to reach out to the poor, to bring good news to all. I'm here to help the lonely, to set the prisoners free, to spread the love of God and help the blind to see. Jesus sat down. Still, no one moved. No one spoke. They didn't know what to say. They weren't sure if they wanted to share what they had with the poor. And how could they help the lonely? Would that mean they would have to spend time with people they didn't know or like? The people listening began to mutter and mumble. They shook their heads. They didn't really want to change. Jesus looked through the doors of the synagogue to where the hills of Galilee seemed to beckon to him, and beyond those hills lay the blue waters of the lake. Jesus knew where to find people who were ready to change. He left the synagogue behind and set out for the beach. Prayer. Thank you, God, for the good news that Jesus brought to all those who were poor or hungry or lonely. Help us to think about how we can bring good news to others this Lent. Day 4. Follow me. Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 through 22. On the shores of Lake Galilee, 4 fishermen sat cleaning their nets in the early morning sun. For as long as they could remember, every day had been the same. Simon Peter, Andrew, James, and John would get up early each morning, head down to the beach, climb into their fishing boats, sail into deep waters, and throw their nets overboard to catch fish. When their nets were full, they would return to shore, load the fish into baskets, and then clean their nets, ready to begin all over again the next morning. But this morning was different. A man named Jesus, who they'd never met before, walked toward them on the beach, called their names, and said just 2 simple words. Follow me. And they did. We don't know if those 4 fishermen had heard of Jesus before that day,